Welcome to another exciting episode of the show called One Step. Let's talk about the journey. The podcast where we take a close look into the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and innovators. I'm your host, Joel Bennett, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today for another inspiring episode. I don't have this on my script, but it's going to be lots of rants and gems. I promise you. In today's episode, we are taking a flavorful journey to the heart of the Caribbean. Shout out to all Caribbean people. Right here in Edmonton, Alberta. Our special guest is the passionate and talented owner of Café Caribbean, a vibrant restaurant that brings the rich and diverse flavors of Caribbean cuisine to our beautiful city called Edmonton, Alberta. It is located at 10140 117th Street, and if I've made any error with the address, she will correct me later on down. 117th Street Northwest. Café Caribbean has become a beloved spot for locals and visitors alike, offering a taste of the Caribbean through its authentic dishes and warm, inviting atmosphere. And it is a very cozy spot. Join us today as we explore the story behind Café Caribbean, from its humble beginning to becoming a staple in the Edmonton food scene, or on the Edmonton food scene. Or is it in the Edmonton? It doesn't matter. We'll discuss the cultural influences that shape the restaurant, the challenges and triumph of running a business, and the future plans that lie ahead. So, whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur, a food enthusiast, or simply love a good story, this episode is sure to captivate and inspire you. Disclaimer, there might be some food wars during the discussion. So let me just give you all an heads up. So without any further ado, let's welcome the owner, my guest, of Café Caribbean, Miss Nadine Lewis. Thank you for joining me today, my sister.
Thank you for having me.
And if I made any error during any of that introduction, please feel free to jump in and say, Joel, you know, that wasn't so correct yet, but anyway.
No, you did a very good job. Very good job indeed.
Thank you so much. So let's get into this. Icebreaker. I like to throw in icebreakers with my guests just to, set the mood.
Okay, set it.
Favorite music or genre of music, I should say.
Gospel.
Gospel. Do you have a favorite artist?
I'm really into Nathaniel Bassey these days.
Okay.
But majority, I would say 90% of the music that I listen to is gospel.
And tell me why.
Because I want to feed my soul. Like, what you listen to, whether people believe it or not, has an impact on your mind, and I want to have my mind in a good place. And when I look around the world and the stuff that's going on, like, I need it. So like, I just try to feed my spirit with good things so that I will stay good.
I totally agree with you. Music, it seeps into your mind and wherever else your mind is connected to. And so if you're, depending on what you're listening, it will kind of formulate the mood and the mode that sets you for the rest of the day, month or weeks or even the years, if that's what you're feeding yourself. So I definitely do agree with you. Now let's get into, because I know there's oh my God. So Nadine, what inspired you to start Café Caribbean? Let's start there.
Okay, well, so first I should just correct that I'm not the only owner of Café Caribbean. My cousin Patricia Ross also owns Café Caribbean with me. However, I am the face of Café Caribbean because she does not want to be seen. and she's a bit more shy, and I'm not. So I know, you know this.
We know that.
Everybody who meets me knows this. So we have, before I get to how we got to Café Caribbean, it kind of have to give you a little bit of background so that you know. So we used to just cook, right? And we moved to Edmonton. I grew up in Edmonton, but I came back in 2006. So me and my cousin both moved here, and so my brother's very involved in the Caribbean community, and he so when he would have like promotions where he would have guest artists come, we would cook the food at these parties, right? And so that's kind of, you know, we would cook, and people would always say, oh, your guys' food is so good and whatever. But we both had full-time jobs. We didn't really take it really seriously. And you know, sometimes it's like your family telling you how fantastic you are. You are like, yeah, but you just also know, well, they're your family. What are they going to say, right? So COVID came. I got laid off just before COVID. I was working in group insurance, managing Canadian and US benefits. So then I wasn't working, was kind of just freelancing around and everything else. And my cousin was working in healthcare. COVID came, and you know, like, we're on lockdown, and then we started, my daughter would always say, Mom, you don't need to do anything with your brother. You guys can do stuff on your own. So we started like having, like, every other weekend we would cook food and we would sell it. So the first time we did it, we sold like 96 meals from the house.
Who did you guys sell it to?
Just on Facebook Marketplace, just Facebook Marketplace advertising. But we had already had a name, like, as I said, they called us the Corn Soup Girls. So we were already kind of known in that sense. So then we did that, and it was great. And we were doing that every weekend, and it was going all right. And then they started really locking down on vaccinations, and I didn't want to be vaccinated, and neither did my cousin. And so we just thought, if we're going to do this, right, then now it seemed like the good time to do it. And this was kind of like the tail end, because we opened in August of 2022. And so we were still like, so, like, if I'm honest, like, so, like, who's going to give us a restaurant? How are we going to get a restaurant? But fortunately for us, there's an organization called CIA, Canadian Imperial Advantage, and they actually work within the Black community for entrepreneurs and stuff that are looking to get started. They help you with business plans, everything. So helped us with all of that. And they also happen to be members of our church, right? And we have been cooking in our church for, I don't know,
very long time.
A long time, more than 5 years easily, right? And they were like, if you want a restaurant, you can have a restaurant. You know, sometimes you just need to bore someone else's belief until you get your own, right? So we were like, okay, well, whatever. And these two girls, this is how it came out. And then we were just like, okay, what are we going to name it? And then we just started moving towards it. And then, I mean, God just began to open doors for us. And two girls, not working, one gave up her job, one didn't have a job, opened up Café Caribbean. So it was really, I really believe that it was seeds that were sown from before, and God honoring that, because we've been serving in ministry, doing that for a long time, joyfully. And everything about, like, when I tell you how we ended up in the spot we're at, whatever, it was all truly orchestrated by God. Was that
the first spot for Café Caribbean? I mean, apart from just doing it from, that's the first spot.
That's the first spot. And the funny thing is that the person, how I got that spot, there's a gentleman that reached out to me on Facebook. And we had a conversation, and that place was called St. Lucian Squeeze, and it was owned by this lady, and the guy was her husband. And I just needed to get a COVID test to go back to work. And I was telling him that, and he was like, oh, you should come down to the restaurant. I was like, oh, you know, I'm supposed to go and get a COVID test. He's like, you know, because he also has another business. Oh, I can give you a COVID test, right? And I'm like, what, really? Okay. So I go down to the restaurant, we meet, we get along, we have lots of jokes. And then he tells me that, you know, he really is looking to sell this place. And he said, you know, you should buy it. And I'm like, buy it? But I didn't take it seriously, because I tend to be like that at times, right? So I was like, okay, whatever. And then this went on for months, and I would he would order wings for me because I also used to sell wings, chicken wings out of my house as well.
Don't worry. We're gonna get into some of the backstories that you might not. But don't worry.
So basically, I honestly feel like he just was so willing to want to, and so that's how we went down there. And imagine just somebody reaching out to you on Facebook, and then that person has a restaurant that they want to get rid of, and they want to give it to you, like literally wanted to give it to me. Because even he would say, well, why, make an offer. And I'm like, he's like, you haven't made an offer. And I'm like, I don't like, and then when I began to actually like, okay, be serious about this, and that's it. We were able to get a spot downtown, very hard to get, in a good location. That
location is like
excellent.
It's central to all the other businesses and the communities nearby. So
and and that's it. We all got together, family got together, we were looking at names, we had a bunch of names, everybody voted, and that's how Café Caribbean was. That's how it came to be.
That's an amazing story. I'm gonna just throw this in quickly and move on. I think it was destined for you. It was built. I mean, all the other individuals that passed through there, they played their role. Their story came to an end, and your story began.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
Firmly believe in that. So you're from the Caribbean.
Yes. Trinidad, where my people.
Shout out to all Caribbean people. So, cooking and the whole skill set that you obviously have. Does the Caribbean play a part in all of that?
100%. I mean, let's be okay, but first, I came to Canada when I was very young, like 5 or 6, okay? But I was raised Trinidadian. I was raised Caribbean. My mom is hard-notch Trini, And so, but the funniest thing is, I never cooked until I was in my 20s. Now, I would sit with my mom and I would watch her do everything, right? And, my mom, a typical Caribbean woman, oh, come and learn how to do this. And then she shows you, okay, cut the potato like this. And then as soon as you say, she's basically doing it. So you never actually end up doing it. She's just, so she would say, if you don't want to learn, if you want to learn, come and look. And if you don't, and then I basically just looked and whatever. So I had an idea of how to make things, but I had never actually made anything till I moved out on my own.
Isn't that strange?
It's strange, isn't it? This is why some people, when they heard that I had, like, my school friends they were like, you? Because nobody remembers me cooking, because I wasn't. Right? But I always knew that I knew how to cook.
Yeah, you just never had the opportunity to exercise it much.
No, and when I moved out, I would buy stuff and I would call my mom. Oh, how do you make this? How do you make this? Why do I do this? Why are you always buying stuff and you don't know how to cook it, right? And like cooking is like, I say like it's like English, right? Whereas baking is like math. Like you can get part marks in English, but in math it's either right or it's wrong. So like for me, I like the creative aspect of like trying different things. Like, I mean, I've made created a lot of things, and I can taste things in my head. Like I can, if I put this with this, it's going to be good. And it's usually good. Like I, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where it came from. But definitely everything that I know, I really learned from my mom. And then, my aunties, and then this friend. I stole a little bit from all the islands too. I took some of the Jamaican.
Confession,
I took some of the Jamaican. Like, because I make a damn good jerk chicken and I ain't Jamaican. I'm just saying, okay. So I take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. And, and that's where it's like I make my own sauces, I make my own all these things, right? And people always like, where does it come from? It just comes from like, if I go anywhere and I eat something that I like, I'm dissecting it in my head about how can I recreate this myself
and do it better.
I always say I'm like always stealing, just going around stealing people. Hey, but what do they say? Imitation is the greatest form of no, is it imitation? Imitation? No. What is the greatest form of flattery, they say? I think it's imitation.
Well, if you remember, throw it in. But I just want to interject and say something. Some of the seeds and values that our parents sow within us over the years. And the strange thing is that they don't see the fruit of it
No.
in the earlier years.
But in the latter, they do.
But as time goes by, those seeds, I believe, start to germinate slowly until we discover who we really are because of our parents.
I would agree. And I think that when you're younger, you're all into conformity and you don't want to be different. Like, I think, I don't even think you even care about your culture so much, right? You want to, especially if you're plucked from the Caribbean and you come to Canada, you know, your parents are like, stop speaking with your accent, this, that, you know what I mean? They start like kind of trying to strip that out of you, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get older, like you're longing for that, you know, you're longing to, like, I left Trinidad and I didn't go back to Trinidad until 2013, like a long stretch. And when I went home and I got off the plane, I was like, it just like, I mean, I felt like I was home, nostalgia. You know what I mean? You just feel like, you know, and it's like so much of my food is tied to my childhood memories. Like, and that's what I love about food, because it can transport you back to a time, you know, just by a smell. You're like, oh God, I remember. You know?
Not just food. I mean, I don't want to go off track here, but I think food, music, just our overall cultural stuff tend to take us back in time and open up some memories that we thought we forgot too. Yeah. So I mean, I can see. I think you have a nose for just flavors and food. And
I'm a total foodie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm that person that's mad if I eat a meal and it wasn't good, and I'm like, oh, I just wasted it. You know what I mean? It's like people are like, okay, calm down. It's not like I'm so angry about it.
Yeah. And I can see you probably watching, if you do watch some of the YouTube food videos, and you see people doing stuff like, no, that's not right.
Exactly. And I'm also like, I like the fact that we're always looking to twist something and make it creative. But there's something about tradition that should be honored as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have jerk chicken that's not hot.
Yeah, that's not spicy, you mean?
Exactly. Like, what I call it jerk's cousin. It's like,
well, I wanna play fair here and say that the world is so huge. And you know, we're all from different parts of this globe, and our developments, our palates, you know, is somewhat accustomed to various tastes. So some, you know, cultures can't really handle this because they're from this side of the fence, and I know.
Yeah, but, and I get that, but I don't know, like, if I weren't to go and have Italian food, like, then it was supposed to be authentic, it would be Italian food, right? I think that, like, this is kind of one thing for me with my restaurant. I'm not going to dull down flavors to melt into, like, you know, because people don't like spice. Well, maybe I'm not the restaurant for you. And I'll say our food is not spicy. Like, of course, it's seasoned. Seasoned isn't spicy. Flavorful. If you want heat, we have heat on the side. But there's a thing that, oh, it's Caribbean, then it must be like spicy, like heat wise, and it's not necessarily true, right? Like, but there's certain things that are like, if I'm having pepper pot, the name itself suggests that it's going to have pepper in it, right? Jerk chicken suggests heat, that it's going to be hot, like with hot sauce, kind of hot. So to not do that is, for me, this is just my own opinion. Come for me if you want. I stand by it.
Ain't none of you coming
is
for
that,
her.
Like, you're dulling down the culture in a way that it doesn't need to be. There's lots of other things that, like, okay, I was married to a Jamaican man. I spent some time in Jamaica. Like, there's food in Jamaica that's not hot, like it doesn't have a lot of pepper in it, so you can still have the flavor and have food that other people who perhaps are not into, like, you have a different palate, but we shouldn't change that. Like, so for me, if I go to any place where I'm expecting, like, you come to our restaurant and you want roti, know that the curry chicken has bone in. I could make it boneless, but I won't. because that's not the authentic way that we have roti in Trinidad. I mean, and so I'm not going to do that, because bone adds flavor and gives a different layer, and there's a reason that it's put in there, not just, you know. So I'm passionate on that level, and I stand by that. Like, I'm not bending.
So Café Caribbean stands firm to its authenticity, and the rules will not change.
No, we do some variations of stuff, like, you know, like we have mac and cheese, and like on Wednesdays we do like a wing Wednesday. We have chicken wings and mac and cheese, and maybe that's not really considered Caribbean, but we add a Caribbean flavor to it because we're, you know, like, it's, I mean, if you season meat, it's going to be seasoned maybe differently than say somebody who's not from the Caribbean, right? Because we have certain things that we grew up, this is the pattern that you follow, and so you follow it regardless of what you're making. So there is stuff that is, I wouldn't say is Caribbean, but there's certain things that like if we're going to make sorrel, we're not going to buy liquids, we're not going to buy the liquid, we're going to have like the actual plant. Right? Because that's where you're going to get the authentic taste. And our goal is to bring the cuisine of Trinidad to the forefront, so that people can, because when people think Caribbean, they think Jamaican, and just because
shout out to all Jamaicans.
Yes, of course, and including yourself. Like, and I get it, because like reggae, this and that, like it's known, right? But there's a lot of other islands in the Caribbean, and there's a lot of other food, and a lot of food that's really good too. So I want to bring that forth, right? And so there's no, like, I would be here and be like, there's no place I can go. There was one Trinidadian joint, and then it closed down. But like, there's no place that I can go. Where do you go to get a roti? You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain things. And so that's really what this whole thing has been about, is to like let people experience other, like Trinidad, but we also represent other islands, not necessarily Jamaican. That's why some of the food, like, that is perceived as Jamaican, we don't really make it very often or at all, simply because that's not what we're looking for. So when you come to us, you're not gonna get your oxtail or your jerk chicken or your curry goat. Sometimes you'll get oxtail and curry goat, but you won't get that. But you're gonna get other things, and so it's a way for people to experience a different palate, right?
Before we move away from your roots, I have to ask, what are some of the things that you remember your mom cooking though?
Well, my mom, like, okay, so I remember when we always have this joke, like, saltfish was like poor people food.
Really?
Yeah. Like when I was growing up, like, you could get saltfish, right? And so like we weren't rich, so saltfish sometimes would be like, it's just pure saltfish water, because my mom was giving most of the saltfish to my stepdad. But anyway, that's another story. I digress. But like having saltfish with dumpling, and I love that. Like, and green banana, and then, you know, the plantain and the sweet potato. Like, that meal still today. Oh my God. When I have that, I'm just like, you know what I mean? And like, I'm like a tamarind fanatic, okay? Like, I remember, like, when I was young and I would get my little change, and I go, we had this lady that sold, you know, like, sugar cake and coconut, you guys call it, and we call it chip and you know, and pumpsite, which is golden apple for you guys, and all of this. And you know, I'd spend every cent that I had on these things, and I'd just be like, I remember that, like, it's like palau with pigtail in it, and like, you know what I mean, and chicken foot soup, and you know what I mean. And like, even with when my daughter was born, and I would make, and she would be like, I want more fingers, please. Now she wouldn't be caught.
You guys made stew peas as well?
Yes, but in Trinidad, every peas is stewed down, but just separately. But I love stew peas as well too, right? God. And then, you know, as soon as you, like, on stewed chicken, as soon as the chicken is thrown in the pot and I smell, I'm like, oh God. It's like, it just brings me back to my childhood. And my mom was a really good cook, and like good on presentation. So, you know, I love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even she used to make like the jello with the whipped cream, the this, the that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, all like just growing up as a kid, like I always felt like very fancy. My mom is very fancy.
Sounds that way.
She is very fancy. And so I didn't know that I was fancy, but you know, when you grow up in it, it becomes regular to you, right? And then after, other people start being like, what? You know, like I love when that plate is decorated, and then you know, you have to put everything that's on that plate together to get the experience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Don't get me started talking about food. We'll be here all night.
All right. Okay. Let's get into the business. What strategies have you used to attract and retain your customers? Because I'm sure you have a wide customer edge.
The thing is, I'll tell you that we have phenomenal customers, but I mean, I'm a relational person, right? And we really do love feeding. I love to see people eat and be like, oh God, that was so good. So like you come in and you're like, hey, you know, I've never been here before. And then I'll say, and like, you're not sure. Okay, I can help you figure out what you'd like to have first. Are you a little bit hungry or a lot hungry? And then we kind of, you know, well, these are our most popular, but maybe you want to have something that is very good, but is not as popular, to try it. Like, I think that word of mouth has helped us tremendously. Many of the doors that have been open for us, like we've been on a lot of things, like Josh Eats Edmonton. Like when they called, I was like first of all, I didn't even know about, because I wasn't in the food business before, right? So they were like, oh yeah, somebody came and they had your food and they told us that we should do a shoot on you. And you know, we had so many, like I can't even, like sometimes I'm so humbled by you know, like how many doors have been opened. So I think like our strategy is just to be consistent in the food, so that when you came today and you loved it, that tomorrow when you come that you'll love it. Treat people well, like, you know what I mean? And we're excited about what we're doing. And I think that translate, like I have such a good time when I'm like at the shop, you know what I mean?
I see that.
Shooting the breeze with people, joking around, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's fun. And I think that, like when we say good food, good vibes, and we really mean that. Like there's just a vibe that, you know, like we're not taking our lives too serious. It's food. It's supposed to be fun, whatever. And we really get like, so I think that that's the strategy. We haven't really gone in with like, this is exactly what we're doing. I just believe if you get a good product and you have good service and you're actually passionate about, I think it translates, and I think that people see that. And I think that a lot of people are looking for more authenticity in food, and not necessarily big box chains. And you know, like we were invited to go to like TELUS World of Science. This is the second year that we'll be doing that, right? And they have this big fundraiser, and like when you go there, it's like there's like restaurants that are like high end. And sometimes we think, how did we get in here? Even people ask us, how did you get to go here? How did you get to do? Like, honestly, well, it's God always for me. But I mean, I believe that when you treat people right, when you put out a good product, and you know what I'm saying, and people recognize that. Like they really they recognize it, in that we don't skimp on ingredients. We don't try to, you know what I mean?
Water things down.
No, we don't try to water anything down. And I, like, people say, oh my God, your rotis are so big, whatever. When you eat, you must be like,
you know, I was waiting to get it. I was waiting to get into the roti thing, you know. But you see that you open that door, I'm gonna pivot. So tell us about Bus Up Shot. We're not talking about
Bus Up Shot. Bus Up Shot. Okay, so this is something that's reminds me of my childhood as well too, right? I love Bus Up Shot. So Bus Up Shot is just a type of roti. So most people, when they think of roti, they think of the one it's called dal puri, and that's the one that has the peas inside of it.
I love that one too.
And that one's very good, but that's not my favorite, right? So the Bus Up Shot is basically like, or it's the proper name is paratha, but we call it Bus Up Shot because it's like when you put it on the tawa to make it, you use two sticks and you smash it up, and that's why you see like, I know you're a Bus Up Shot, you're a big fan, so you see how it's kind of so flaky, and it's because of that. And I mean, and then it's a big process to make that thing, and then you have to put it with the, let it sit in the rest with the butter,
Yeah.
and then it raises again and whatever. So I mean, for my cousin, I'm not the baker, guys.
Yeah.
I'm using the proverbial we.
Yeah. Can you
Make
shout out to
bus
that? Can you shout out to that cousin?
Shout out to Patricia Ross, the best bus up shot maker in Edmonton. I stand on that,
man.
okay?
Have to.
I'm telling you that you eating that with nothing, and you're like, how is this so good?
I heard it's not the easiest thing to make.
It's not. For her to make, so maybe between 40 and 50, it's gonna take. It's 8 hours, but not. It's not even like it's 8 hours in one day. So this is after you've prepped.
Yeah.
Made the dough, let it sit. Then they make the balls and put the butter in it, let it sit, and then it's a whole process. And then the making of it, but it's like butter in the mouth, like, you know. And a lot of people still don't really know about bus up. They're all about the dal puri, and the dal puri is good. But they're missing out.
That one kind of hit it square out of the park.
Oh,
man. Like,
and then when you have the curry and everything, and you put everything together, it's like butter in the mouth.
Oh my God, some stewed chicken or some curry.
It doesn't matter what you have it with. It's even good with just butter.
Man, I'm salivating right now as we speak. All right. So, oh my gosh, we could talk about this thing all day. Let's get into this. Do you guys use social media for marketing? Like I've just started checking out your social media pages, but do you guys use those platforms?
We do, but okay, hello. This is your social media girl, and I'm not so I am the one who does majority of our social media.
Yeah.
I am not a social media person. Like, I have had to learn.
Yeah.
Especially Facebook, I know how to use because, but Instagram. So I'd always have to call my daughter. How do you post? How do you this? Whatever, right? Yeah. So I am, in fact, yesterday on Sunday, so our business manager, she's my cousin Patricia, the owner's daughter. She manages both of us, keeps us in line. So she had called me on Saturday and said, "Hey, I wanted to tell you your social media, like, good job with your videos and whatnot." So I've just taken this on. Yeah. I take the pictures of the food. Yeah. I don't think between anybody, I'm the most passionate about food. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And so don't get me wrong, Patricia is, but she's quieter, right? It's like, I can paint you a picture of how something's going to taste before you get it. You know, many times when I explain something to somebody, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic. I'll have it," right? Because I'm done. So we do use social media, Instagram mostly. Yeah. We do have a Facebook page as well. So we have our Café Caribbean Facebook page. But mostly in IG, I use my own Facebook page because I have, we have our own website and everything else. But we do use it. But like, I wouldn't tell you that, like, I know the power of social media, and I will definitely say that it's a great tool to reach a lot of people, because when we first began, we had my daughter suggested that I reach out to one of these foodies to come and try our food, and it was YG Cravings, and she came, and first of all, prior to that, I was like, social media, okay, whatever, but I didn't get it, right? Then so she does this on the Thursday. On the Friday, there's a lineup outside the door. Yeah, we literally grew our social media by 5,000 people in one day through that. And you know, I mean, that's when I was like, oh, the power of social media.
No, it's a fact, man. Like, that's literally where the market is at, because this is a course in university by itself, social media marketing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because everyone is moving online now. Because if you think about how COVID was back then, nobody was leaving their homes. Yeah. So everything was being done online, and the era of COVID somewhat passed, but people have not really overall adjusted to back to the outside world, really.
Yeah, it's true.
So most businesses are definitely keeping their footprint illuminated on in the social media platform.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to do more, but honestly, that's a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, and I still don't know how to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm just a good speaker. Like, you know, that's it. I like talking. So it's like, you know what I mean? And first, I don't know if it's the tone of my voice or whatever, but like people like to engage with me.
Oh, yeah.
And so
you had me trapped in your shop. After I was supposed to be leaving in 5 minutes, I ended up leaving in 20. So I know.
Oh,
I know what you're capable of. Okay, so let's talk about this, Nadine. How do you stay competitive? Because in the section of town that you're in, there are other restaurants within that proximity, right? So would you say that you have a strategy to stay competitive?
Yeah, just being true to who you are.
Yeah.
I'm not into competition. I know that this sounds crazy but I believe there's enough food for everybody to eat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't expect to be everything to everyone, and I don't think that everyone's going to. But I think there's enough people that are going. So we don't compete at all. Like, I'll be honest with you, if you come in and you're asking for something, like say you want jerk chicken, and I'll give you names of restaurants that you can go to that can give you that. I'm not threatened by that at all, because I believe that what I offer, it's kind of a niche, but it's not a niche in a way, right? Like, it's a niche because there's no other Trinidadian restaurant. Like, just the fact of our existence makes us different, right? That's our competitive edge, is because we are only Trinidadian restaurant. Like, there's no other place that you can go and get doubles that are being made like fresh. Only on Fridays and Saturdays. People do not come on Monday to Thursday.
Tell the audience what doubles are, just in case, you know.
So doubles is basically Trinidad street food. So it's like 2 pieces of fried dough. The dough is called bara, and then they put curry chickpeas. We put some culantro. We put some grated cucumber, some tamarind chutney, a little pepper sauce, and then you put it and eat it like a sandwich. And it's like. It's vegan for those people that are concerned about it. It's so it's vegan, it's vegetarian. And even for people like me, who I consider myself to be a meatitarian, it's good, because you know what the thing is, when you have people who like meat that like something that's vegetarian, you know it's good, because we're like, I mean, you can give me, don't get me wrong, I love a salad, I love all of that stuff, but like, I'll always be like, if there's no meat being served, I'm like, somebody gonna be having. I'm waiting for the meal, because if there's no meat, there's no meal. So for me to like, but they're so good. And like, the thing I love about Trinidadian food is there's layers of different flavors, but they all just mesh together to just create an experience. Nothing is overpowering. I just call it smooth. The whole eating experience is the food. It's like everything's smooth. Like, you taste the distinctness of different flavors, but they're like, you know, sometimes like there's too much clove, there's too much this, and it takes away. No, it's just a medley of flavors that blend together so well.
I know the Africans compete with their jollof rice. What does the Caribbean compete with where the food world is concerned?
Well, I don't know. It seems that it's like, it depends on where, like, I will tell you that no one competes with Trinidad in terms of roti, and I stand on that. People, come for me if you will.
Food wars.
But I mean, I think there's only a competition, like more but the food is different. Like, I will say that like the spices that are used in Jamaica are different than most of the Caribbean. Like, really, they are. Right, mostly a lot of allspice, and like, you know what I mean, like, and then it's like Trinidad and Guyana are similar, but still not the same. And then all the threads, like, I feel like I've had like St. Lucian food and many different islands, and I see that thread going through, but I see Jamaica on its own. Like, it's totally different, really. Probably. You don't know?
No. I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you somewhat.
But you're saying probably, but I mean, okay. So like, I don't really think there's that competition in that sense. It's more island competition. You know what I mean? I don't think that we're competing on food more than we're competing on islands.
Competition is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying that it isn't.
Yeah,
but like, I mean, I don't have time to compete with people because I'm in my lane. I'm doing what I know that I'm supposed to do, and I'm not worried about. And if you're doing your thing, I'm cheering you on. Like, you know, I think that like competition, sometimes it spurs people to do more, be more creative, and everything, and improve. But in more times, competition is of a negative when it comes to.
That's the picture that's painted.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think that like I compete with myself. I compete with how can I make this better. I love criticism, you know, constructive, whatever, to say this, I think this, whatever, and I can go back and, you know, deconstruct it and see, okay, can I make it better? And even there's times when people think it's really good and I'm still like, it's not the thought that I had in my head, or it's not tasting exactly how I expected it to taste. And so, you know, so I think that's my competition. But honestly, I'm never, like, we've been in business almost 2 years. I've never worried about what anyone else is doing.
And honestly, I kind of think you're in a class to yourself, though. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't have one other Trinidadian restaurant to compete with, right? And I wouldn't compete because I just think that, like, when you get into that, I think what I would be doing is how I compete. I make sure that my product is good, consistent, and I put my heart in it, and then I leave the rest because that's all I need to do. Because I will tell anybody, if you taste it, I'm not worried. Like, people will come in, oh, are you sure this is thing? And if it's not good, and I'm always like, I'm not scared. I'm not worried because I know what I'm doing. Like, I know what we're doing. I know what we're putting in it. I feed people the way I would feed myself. So I'm not, you know, like, I'm not saying, oh, well, it's for the thing, so we don't need to use this. You know, we can use margarine, not butter. No, you won't find it happening because I don't like margarine. So I won't give it to you.
Okay. Why don't you like margarine? Might I just... No?
It's just... have you tasted it?
I have.
I don't know. I grew up on butter. So to me, margarine is just like what's... You know what I mean? Like, my cousin used to... Like, my business partner, she used to argue with me incessantly that butter and margarine tasted the same. I'd say, no, it doesn't. So then one time she came and she stayed a long time at my house and she ate butter all the time. And then she went and back to her house and she had margarine and she was like, it's terrible. I'm like, yes, it is. But if you don't know any better, I mean, I just honestly, as I said, my mom is kind of bougie. So I grew up, like, I don't eat margarine. Yeah,
bougie family. Café Caribbean is in itself. Is pepper pot on the menu? And I wanted to ask.
No, pepper pot is actually Guyanese.
It is.
But we would do it. Like, there's a lot of things we want to do. Like, we have you've been to the store. It's very small. Guys, it's not a sit-down dine-in restaurant, okay? It's more a grab and go. But it's summertime, so patio's open, so you can sit down on the patio. So, but like, there's a lot of things people ask for, and like, I would like to do crab and dumpling, crab and dumpling. We'd
crab
like
is
to
not
do
cheap, though.
No, we'd like to do bacon shark, and we've been looking all over for shark, and we actually just found shark, and we just bought a little bit just to see, because sometimes it's puss in bag, you know what I mean? So and it was so sometime that's gonna make a little pop up on the menu, but again, there's lots of things we would like to make, like, but the space that we have doesn't allow us to like, you know, people are always asking for pylori. It's a very, like, popular, and like, we can make it, but how do we keep it so that when you come to buy it, it's still, like, if it sits under like a heating thing, it gets crispy and it takes away from it and everything. So because the spot is small, because we don't really cook everything there. We have a commercial kitchen that's not far away that we do a lot of our cooking at. So it kind of hinders that. So maybe in the future.
I have a question for you on future outlook, but before we get to that, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced since you've been the owner of that business?
It's just the learning curve. It's not the cooking. It's the learning curve of business. Like, we never had a restaurant before, and like, I'll tell you something as well too, because okay, I'm a church girl, and like serving is something that I enjoy. Like we enjoy it, and we don't charge you to serve because we're serving in the house of the Lord. So when you take that mentality and now you get into business, and like you're doing pricing or you're whatever, like you're always you and you know, like unfortunately, kill me, I'm always going to be honest. Like sometimes it's like, you know, your church family or whatever, like they just expect things at a very like no cost or low cost, right? So then when you now go out and you have a business and you got to look at the cost of food and like what's your ingredients costing you and whatever, and then like before we literally were just like, oh, $10 seems good, like, you know what I mean, without any like and we were doing that when we were like, if you come and said, hey, could you make me this or could you bake this, and and really like sometimes it really didn't even cover the ingredients, but we weren't it was just for one person, it was just. But now when you get into business, those things begin to compound, right? And so now you have to really look at like costing,
all the overheads
and overhead, and especially when it comes to the catering end of it. Like sometimes when I do, like, you know, I'm being trained on how, like, okay, how you price, and when I do that and then I come up with that number and I'm like, you know, like sometimes I feel like intimidated to like, oh God, they're gonna think this is too much. Like it's taken us a while to understand that, listen, this is what it is, and either you like it or not, either you won't, and if you don't, it's okay, but like we can't give away everything simply because we feel bad. And I think that just comes from dealing in church all the time, where you're not concerned about price and you're not asking, but you'll do it, no problem, and everything. So that's been the hardest part. And just like learning costing and like, okay, where to get the best deal, and, you know, like dealing with suppliers and setting up all of that, and getting an accountant and doing your financials, and those are the things that are, for me, have been more challenging, not the cooking, because we were cooking for 500 people from long ago.
So what strategy did you use to overcome all of that? Because I know because pretty much what you're saying is that because of just who you are, separating the emotion from the business. Because the fact is that everything costs, and because you're gonna be such a nice, God is watching me,
be a good Christian
girl.
And then, you know what? Somebody said something to me. The guy that actually I bought the place from, right? He taught us a lot because he's a Christian as well. But he said, "Are you in business? Are you a philanthropist, or are you in business?"
That's
like, And you know what? That doesn't mean that I won't sometimes take a loss on something if I think the cause is good. Like, you know, we've done stuff where we've gone to the seniors building, and we've, you know, whatever. Like, if I believe in giving back to the community, and I believe in helping where you can, but like it's kind of, and then I think also working so hard, because I always consider myself a hard worker. And I have never worked harder than having my own business, you know, doing like we don't have a lot of staff. Only me and my cousin do all the cooking. I do most cooking. She does the baking. So then you begin to see how many hours you're working, how much things you're putting in, and then you start saying, what is your value? And then you begin to put boundaries up.
You have to. Because
you have to, right? And then you realize that those boundaries are not because you want to be mean to somebody, but it's to also protect you, right? And so it's taken a while, but I think after that first year, like we changed our pricing. I mean, this is how we did our pricing in the beginning. What's all the we go through? We just look at all the Caribbean. How much they selling for a fried chicken? And then you pick a number. You know, not even actually checking the cost. Like, this is when we first started, not checking the cost
that you put in for supplies.
Not the labor, not the supplies, not the anything, just pulling numbers out of hats. Because, you know, and then beginning to like start doing the numbers, and then being like, are you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but we've been so blessed. Like, I can't even tell you, like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how it is the way it is, or how God has been so gracious, but it's it's humbling and it's overwhelming, because honestly, we're just two little girls, you know, just
here's why I'm still in awe here,
Mm-hmm.
Nadine, and you know, I'm a little bit knowledgeable about certain things in the business world. Restaurants in general oftentimes only last a year. They only survive for a year because of, one, how competitive the food business is, and the two, not everyone is made or built for it. So I'm in awe, because your story is, it's not like, you know, you came in with a bang.
we did come in with a bang. And the thing was, like, we didn't, I honestly, like, I'm telling you, I have been on CTV, Global, CBC radio and TV. I've been on so many different I literally, sometimes I'm just like, God, what is happening, you know? And almost all of those are just through meeting people and having good rapport with them. And that's why I tell you, our customers are the best. Our customers look out for us. Our customers, you know, Tell Us World of Science came because of a customer that, you know, said you, and I would say, like, this, like, there's Range Rover, there's this restaurant, there's that, like, you know, like, we're just like Caribbean, a little Caribbean restaurant. And we're in places that truly we shouldn't be in. By all standards, why are we there? There's nobody. We did Edified. First of all, we were voted. We made it in. You know, they had 4 for best new restaurant. The lady came in. This guy came in. He ate, and then he was talking to me, and then he said, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this, but you know, you guys are on the long list for best new." And I was like, long list, short list,
best new.
So Edified magazine. So they do every year. They pick. Four restaurants that are new restaurants that came out, and you can win for best new. But it's not you, it's somebody, like, I don't even know, like, how you get nominated, because nobody ever came to. He just told me that, and I was like, oh, and I was just like, well, to be on any list, we just opened, we're happy. Then we find out that no, we did win, so we got to go they have a big event a food event that they have every year, and we've gone. This is our second year that we've gone there, and we're talking like 1,500 people. Like we're talking huge, and even for Tell Us World of Science. And we were going there, and you're having like restaurants like Range Rover, which is like farm to table, like this is a high end and we're just there. 2 Caribbean girls. I'm not a chef. Like, I don't have a degree. I'm not, you know what I mean? I didn't go to culinary school, neither did my cousin. And we're at this table. Like, it's just God. So, like, of course, I'm just like, I myself, truth be told, I'm in, in awe, in wonder, just sometimes just cannot believe it. And then more doors just keep opening. Imagine, here I am with you.
Hey, and trust me, and after this show, you're gonna be in more places. I can assure you of that, you know. and that's the truth. Okay, so what would be your most memorable success story or milestone for Café Caribbean, you would say?
So when we bought the business, we had, like, we put down money, like 20 grand. And then we had $35,000 that we had to pay this gentleman. And we paid that off in 7 months.
7 months. In
7 months of opening. Wow. That's my biggest, like, $35,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's God. Like literally we were paying this, we had to pay this loan off, and we were paying basically like almost $6,000 a month. And we paid it off in 7 months. I do not know how, but when we opened, over a weekend, like Thursday, Friday, and even on a Saturday, some days we did almost $3,000 in sales, and we were like, what? Like, we don't, like, I tell you honestly, I look at our Google rating, for the first 5 to 6 months, we were just 5-star. And if you go, like, we're a 4.9.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you know, people can tell you all the time, you do a great job. What you do is good, but it's your family and whatever. And I tell you that it, like, maybe about 3 months in, after we did the Josh Eats and a few other things, and me and my cousin Lou looked, and I said, people really do like our food. Like, you know, it's just like, you don't, because it's not like you go around thinking, oh, I'm so phenomenal. And like, you know, you don't, you're just doing you.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do you in the position that you're supposed to be, things become easier. Like, doors begin to open. I think that I know without a doubt that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that, don't get me wrong, it's not like there's not ups and downs and there's not whatever, but like, when you are in the right positioning where God wants you to be, doors begin to open. And you just are like, I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, we'd like to, you know, partner with you. We'd like to this with you. And, you know, and we've just kind of kept it, me and my cousin, because people say you can't work with family, right? But I think that you have to have real relationships so you can really talk about everything. Because I always said, so if we become, you know, so big and we're making all this money, like, I don't want money to be the reason that we aren't, because she's my bestest friend in the world. But we've kind of, we've already like had those type of discussions and everything, right? So it's amazing. Like, honestly, I'm sometimes not even sure why things are the way that they are, or how it's happened, or, you know, how we've been able to sustain. I mean, we've had months that were not, you know, not great, but we've never had terrible. We've at least always done at least $10,000 a month, and usually more, a lot. So,
well, let's I have to, like, this isn't even on the script, but let's throw this in. How do you incorporate your relationship with God and your business?
Well, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't even have that business. Do you understand? Like, I am telling you that this is a faith walk, because even with us getting that restaurant, we did not have any money. Do you like, I was just like when I tell people that, they don't believe me, but I'm telling you that when the guy said, okay, we're gonna CIA, I told him, you have to figure out how you're gonna get this money, because I don't have any money. I have a house, but I was like, I don't have any money. I came out of a broken marriage. Like, there's no money. COVID has been going on. I haven't been working since I got laid off in April of 2019, and then I think COVID was whatever. Like, I didn't have that much time. I kind of bounced around, and I had to rely on God. Like, really rely. You know, we always sing, I'm the queen of it. Oh Lord, I trust you. I trust you. But I'm a plan. I got a plan and a backup plan. So God put me in a position where my plan, like, oh God, I'm asking you to do this, but if he doesn't do this, then I'm going to do this. I didn't have a backup plan. Didn't have a backup plan. Every stone that could have been turned over was turned over. And I had no option but to trust God. And it's been a faith walk, because that's why we were like, how are we going to get a restaurant? Who's going to give us a restaurant? Like, this is what was going through our minds. That's why I say sometimes you have to borrow the faith of somebody else. And they were like, no, you can get it. Why all this, you've been serving God, you think that God isn't going to be able to do that? And he was. And it was easy. And even this story I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
So the gentleman that we bought the restaurant from, first he said he wanted the full $55,000, right? So we gave him 20 and we were going to do 35 as a loan, right? But we'll have to get a loan for that. And so he said, so he's first, that was what? So when we went to go, like the day before having the signing and everything, we met with him and the guys that were helping us to do all this transaction. And he said, well, yeah, okay, they'll give you 20 and then we'll have to get a loan for the other. And then he was like, well, if they get a loan, they're going to have to pay interest. And because earlier before they'd said, well, will you let them, like, you carry it and they pay you piece by piece? And he said, no. Then we go back in this meeting and he's like, no, I don't want them to have a loan. They can just pay me.
Oh, really?
So we didn't get a loan. That $35,000, this man who sold us this restaurant just allowed us to pay him just shy of $6,000 a month till it was paid off. It's God.
Has to be.
Because, and that's why even when we paid him off, I said, thank you for allowing God to use you and being willing to avail yourself, because it's God. That guy had other people that wanted that location. It's a prime location and the rent is cheap there because it's so small.
Probably had cash too, ready to go.
Exactly. And he was like, I don't want to sell it to them. I want you to have it. I want it to stay a Caribbean restaurant. Yeah. And that man taught us so many things business wise and was willing to like work with us. And it's God. So for me, God is in everything that we're doing. Yeah. And we won't make it without him. Like when I tell people that if you're a spiritual person, you believe in God, you understand what I'm saying, and other people just think it's hocus pocus. But I just know that I know, because I know where I was at. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? There is no reason. Who gets a restaurant who buys a restaurant and both of you are not working? Who?
Nobody I know of.
Okay. And you weren't rich to begin with, so you didn't have all this money. Who?
Yeah. Must be God.
It must be God. Yeah. And God just continued to carry us through. And even times when we're just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Where are we going to get this money at? Yeah. Somehow.
It works out.
It works out. So I'm learning to trust him more. Yeah. Really trust him. Not the I trust you because it's easy to do. Like trust, like I really begin to understand that real trust is when you can't see, when you don't know what's in front of you, and when the ground is all shaking. And can you still stand and believe that like he'll bring me through? And he has. And it's built my faith more and more. And so now when things, I'm just like, God, this is not my problem. It's your problem. You promised that you're going to take care of it. And I just have to believe and I have to have faith. And it's been difficult because contrary to everybody, I do not like being fed daily as the sparrow. Okay, I don't. I need to know what's happening down the road. Yeah. And when I don't, it's a very uncomfortable position. And I've had to sit in that position for probably 3 years now. Yeah. That you're not gonna, and like when I started, like, you see, Lord, this is happening. And he's like, but haven't I taken care of you? Yeah. Yes. But I still I'm learning to let go of my plans. And I mean, it's important to plan, but you know, you can't just, I just like to know what's coming to a certain extent. I don't do well in uncertainty, and I've had to learn to live in uncertainty and trust God. So yeah, for the restaurant, for everything in our lives, it's been God. Like, we're not going to make it without him. And I give all like praise and glory to him, because I know without him, it would never happen. But then I remember my service, that for years we were been cooking in our church. Yeah. I've been at my church since 2009, and I've been in the kitchen primarily running it, even every Sunday, because people say, well, now that you have a restaurant, you know, like as I've arrived,
Yeah.
you know, people act like you've arrived somewhere. You're not arriving anywhere, okay? Like, oh, you're still cooking at church? Yes, because that's where it started. And it's my service unto God, and I enjoy it. You know what I mean? We still cook at the church. Every Sunday, if you come down to Citadel, you will find that we have Chop's Kitchen, and you'll find food that we're cooking.
What's the name of that church?
Citadel International Ministry. It's, I wish I knew the address, but it's close to King's College. And yeah, we cook there, and like when our church is having events and everything, we cook. I mean, but that's where we learned, you know, all of that, you know, all that hard work and everything. And I mean, it's joyous. I still enjoy doing it, you know. I enjoy feeding people. I don't cook at my house because I'm now by myself and who's there to eat it. But if there's people, I'm cooking.
Well, Nadine, that was a beautiful testimony of what faith is along your journey. Man, this was not planned. Okay, so any future outlook for Café Caribbean that you want to share?
You know, we would like to have another location.
A bigger one too.
A bigger one. Like ultimately what I would like to do is I would like to have a location where I have the kitchen connected, and then kind of make that the hub, and then push out through there, like, you know, so that because I get people saying you got to come to the north end. Oh no, you got to come to the south side. Oh, you know, you know, because Uber doesn't deliver everything, and maybe have our own delivery service if we can work out the logistics, right? But right now what I'm trying to do is really learn the business. Really learn the business. I mean, I've learned a lot, and but there's so much to learn.
Have you ever thought about getting consultation for that?
Oh yeah, like I have some restaurant people that that help me. There's a guy I want to give a shout out to him. His name is Conroy, and he owns Flavor Cafe. Okay. And he's such a phenomenal individual, and like he really helped me. Like I can call him like, okay, I'm trying to price this, and like, is this right? And like, you know what I mean? And like, this is the thing, like, I mean, a lot of times we always say with Black people, we're like crabs in a barrel, and there is that aspect that's happening. But I think it's also, we never talk about those people that are not crabs in the barrel, those people that are supporting, you know what I mean? And it's wonderful when you can, he's got a restaurant, we've got a restaurant, but he doesn't think it robbery, like to share knowledge. So collaborating. And he's been so helpful. He's such an amazing individual. And, you know, and I always think like, you know, I get people coming to me and they want an opportunity, and I will help, because I just believe that we're not going to get anywhere if I'm only concerned about myself, and no man is an island. And I don't care who you think you are. You will never get where you need to be by yourself. It doesn't exist. No, but I mean, a lot of people still seem to think that, right? And, you know, I think that's when you start thinking, you know, like I don't let accolades and congratulations and all of that get to my head. You know, you start feeling so puffed up, and, oh, these hands, they make magic and all of this, you know what I mean? Everything you have, the gifts are without repentance, man. Like you did nothing to deserve it. So we should not try to act as though we created it ourselves. We might hone it, we might nurture it, we might develop it more, but it really does come from God. And so I don't have any reason to be proud about it, because it had nothing to do with me. I'm just using the gifts that I've been given. Man, that's beautifully said. Any upcoming events or new menu item we should look out for? Oh, no, I'm not talking anything about new menu items. We're trying to figure out, like, we might be doing a change, but I don't want to. You don't want to get into that yet? No, I don't, because then they'll be like, I heard it on the podcast, and where is it? You promised. Zipping my mouth with that. So we are going to be at Carrie West this year again. Okay. So, and that's running August 9th, 10th, and 11th. And we are also going to be, there's a foodie festival that's going to be happening in October.
Yeah.
I believe it's the 16th or 17th. I can't remember, but we're going to be doing that. We want to try to do some like festivals and stuff like that, kind of branch out in that way, and just really try to introduce a few new things, because you know, every Friday, Saturday, like we have specials, right? And so we want to introduce some new specials and give people an opportunity to let us know what they like.
Yeah.
And we are going to try to do a customer appreciation, because August 11th is when we opened. We never can do it on, and that's because we're always at Cary West, but that'll be 2 years, right? Okay. And you know, we're still in the early stages of our business and everything, but like we've like 2 years, it's significant, like, you know what I mean? And we want to thank our customers, because honestly, they're phenomenal. Like they're amazing.
Let's use this opportunity to put in where people can maybe follow you, where you put out some of your ads, your, you know, your alerts.
So I would say that the best place to follow us on is Instagram. So it's Café Caribbean _ and you'll find us there, and you'll see a cute little caricature of 2 little black girls, one with blue glasses. That would be me. And so you can follow us there. And we have our website, which is cafecaribbean.ca as well, and you can find out what we're doing there. We're looking forward to like introducing a few new things, and I kind of want to get some customer feedback about what would they like to see, because we do specials, and a lot of times our customers drive the specials that we do. But like so I think I'm going to do a little Instagram something and kind of get some feedback about what haven't you had in a long time that you feel like, God, you wish you could have. Because that's the best thing, is when we, you know, like when we do our signatures, like our Sunday food. Like, because I don't know, but you know, you were from Jamaica, so you like, if no day in the week you eat well, you'll eat well on Sunday.
On Sundays.
So in Trinidad, you know, you get your macaroni pie, your stewed chicken, your callaloo, you know, you'll get some plantain, you get some potato salad, your rice, like your lentils.
Can I tell you what I want? I want some stew peas with pigtail and some salt beef in it.
Oh, God. You know, that's a... Why you have to mention that?
That's what I want. And the thing is, I'm not saying so far, I haven't really... I mean, other people have tried, but it has not hit home yet.
No, you haven't. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes the itch isn't scratched. I know.
The itch is still there.
I know. I get like that too. I'll be full and I'll be like, I'm still hungry, but I'm not hungry. It's just like I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
I get it. The stew peas is something that, when done well, and you see, like, and this is a struggle too, because some people are just so anti-pork. Why is the pig is being chastised the way it has? Okay, let me tell you something. I love me some pigtail. I'm not even gonna pretend to anybody. And sometimes it's like I make pilau with pigtail in it, like with pigtail and chicken and like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it goes, and I'm like, oh, I guess not everybody is anti-pork. You know, there is still a lot of people that don't eat it, but like, man, I love me some jerk pork, stew pork, bro.
So let's satisfy our audience who are very enthused about taking the same journey that you're on. So what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own restaurant business? I would
definitely say stop living in your head about what you want to do, right? Start making steps towards it, and you don't have to have everything figured out before you start. Like, honestly, I'm an example of not having anything figured out and still figured it out. Find some place that you can get some like advice. If you are an entrepreneur, you can check out CIA, Canadian Imperial Advantage. They work with immigrants, like to help you. They'll help you write your business plan, and a lot of the services are free, so that's really great. Help you to find funding, and also help you to find out that, is this viable? Because sometimes maybe you want to buy this business. Is the cost of this business based on what you're getting, is it right? Like all of those things. So you need to reach out to get resources for that.
Yeah.
And then like borrow someone else's belief if you don't have it fully.
I like
right?
that. I like that definition.
Like, like, you know, because sometimes we don't see, I think especially when it comes with other people, we see everything. Oh, you're fun. But when it comes to ourselves, we always tend to be more critical and everything else. So I think that, you know, I would just encourage you to step out. I would encourage you to trust that, you know, like that vision that you got, that vision that God gave you, that it can come to pass, and you're just going to have to work it and know that there's going to be ups and downs and bumps in the road. I mean, we got this restaurant in April. We didn't open until August. Going through AHS, going through this. There's so many stuff. Oh, you need to take this out. You need to put this in. It's frustrating. Yeah. But keep the vision in mind, you know, as the word says. Write the vision, make it plain, so them that see can run with it. So have your vision, know what you want, and keep every naysayer out of your ear.
Oh my gosh.
Filter them out. Filter them out, because you know what? The minute you even open your mouth to say you want to do something, you haven't even begun. There's always these people that they think they're meaning you well, that want to tell you all the reasons why it cannot be. And whenever you meet those people, or even if they're in your family, you need to shut it down, because every one of us has our own self-doubt, and we don't need other people watering that doubt. We need people that speak against that doubt and cause you to want to rise up and go towards it. If you can do that, you can make it anywhere. And the journey is not for the swift, okay?
Oh my gosh.
But for those that endure. So you have to know that when you're going to go in, know that there's going to be bumps in the road. Know that everything isn't going to go the way that you want it to. But if you keep course and keep the vision, I promise you'll get there.
Y'all see what I was talking about when I say this show. This episode is going to be all rants and gem. In my opinion, it was more gems than rant. As we conclude today's episode, I want to extend a huge thank you to Nadine Lewis. My gosh, man. I have so much more I want to talk to her about. Let me just say this. Nadine, this is not going to be our final show. All right. Let's talk again. Let's just speak this into being right now.
Amen. Let's do it.
The inspiring owner of Café Caribbean, one of the owners that is. Your journey from concept to creating a beloved culinary destination here in Edmonton has been truly remarkable. Hearing about the rich cultural influences, the challenges you overcame, and the vibrant community engagement has been both enlightening and motivating. To our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Café Caribbean and gain a greater appreciation for the dedication and passion that goes into creating such an authentic and welcoming dining experience. If you haven't already, I highly recommend visiting Café Caribbean at 10140 117th Street, Northwest Edmonton, Alberta. Taste the incredible flavors, feel the warm hospitality, and immerse yourself into the Caribbean culture right here in our beautiful city called Edmonton. Remember, every entrepreneur has a unique journey filled with both trials and triumph. And Nadine's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and community spirit, and also the Spirit of God. If you have any questions or want to connect with Nadine further, be sure to reach out and show your support by visiting Café Caribbean. My name is Joel Bennett. The show is called One Step. Let's talk about the journey. Thank you, Nadine.
You're welcome.
Man, this was more. This is way more than I thought. You all have an amazing day. Nadine, do you have any final words before?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come and to share my story. And if it helps one person to move forward, then it's worth it.
Man, I appreciate it. God bless you.
God bless you too.
You all take care and bye.